Good evening, everyone, and welcome to FOAID and this gorgeous booth by Colston, where we are sitting, all of us. I'm Devika Khosla, co-founder and creative director of the Works Interiors, and I'm really honored to be sitting with some stalwarts of the industry. Um, I'm here to moderate this panel today, and my first question is open to all of you. Please jump in and feel free to give in your sound bites and your ideas. So, the first question is, how does the concept of wellness influence modern interior design trends? We know that lots of trends keep coming in and going out, but wellness stays constant. How do you blend both of these aspects in your designs?
So I'm Manish. I'm the principal designer at Nouveau Design Group, and I've been running a firm for the last 25 years. So, what as I was saying, before we actually get to the question, it's more important to understand what really wellness is, right? Once we understand what wellness is, then we'll understand that it is a basic, it is a basis of all design, I guess. So, if you talk about natural light, if you talk about natural ventilation, if you talk about an indoor air quality, all those are actually part of the wellness. And once we understand, then we know that this is an integral part of any design, I guess.
Correct, correct. So, have you ever found that in some of your projects, clients may want something extremely trendy, but that's not fitting in well with the ergonomics or the basic design ethos that you are heading towards? How do you tackle such?
IT house. I will put use interior designer. See, what happens is wellness nowadays is also a lot to do with sustainability.
Correct.
When we are designing, either a lot of trend is happening and going towards organic, sustainability, and also minimalistic, wherein we play with the least of the materials. And being India, which is more of a organic country and agricultural land, where there is so much of material, where you get raw stuff, by which we try to create that, because that also soothes you.
Yeah.
One is wellness, but how the wellness prepares and plays with your mind, and also a lot of play is of lighting. That's what I think. If you overall combine all of these things, it's a much more easier and a much more comfortable space to be mentally as well. Because once you start, when you are there, it's the mindset starts as soon as you enter.
Yes.
But green, a sustainable thing, even when you see your background, which is raw wood, it's easier on your eyes.
Yeah, true. Since you've touched on the topic of sustainability, could you tell us something about that you've done in your projects, which has I know it's very difficult to be sustainable holistically, but what are some of the measures that you put into your project which also aligns with wellness?
Hey, I'm Kapil Agarwal from Special Architects at the rate KA. We're an architecture firm. We've been working for last 24 years now. It's an honor to be here and among all these talented designers. I'm Kapil Agarwal from Special Architects at the rate KA. We are an architecture firm based in New Delhi. So I think the sustainability is a very major criteria today into designing any spaces, being a home or a hotel or any kind of a retail space. So for us, also we feel that sustainability, the greens have to be incorporated into the spaces, like because the people staying there for 24 hours. So how we create these spaces with incorporating the wellness, it comes with it. With the more the green the spaces are, the more it becomes the people become more closer to nature, and the wellness become an integrated part of it. So that has been a criteria, and it also enhances the living, mental, physical well-being of any person living in that space.
I think if you're getting more in sync with nature, I think it gets more sustainable. You're using materials which are closer, which are natural materials, which are recyclable materials. I guess then you're more sustainable in that
Well,
sense.
the quality of life of the people who staying in there, there are two ways of looking at is the place where we live and the place we work. For this 24 hours, we either be there or we either are here. So the both have to be kind of created in a space where the wellness become an important part. Even if in an office space, that has to be also be upgraded now. We don't have to work in those closed environment. and start thinking about our minds. We like in this metro city, especially in like places like Delhi, we are just crumbled into this closed environment. We have to open up and think openly.
I think a very important, very, very important thing again, which we get from our uh, earlier fort architecture and stuff, even residential architecture, especially in India, we've got courtyards as the basic planning for most of the houses
Yeah,
and most of the
very,
project,
very true.
which is very, very essential. I think that's how you can get the correct cross ventilation within the places. You can get the greenery inside there. I think those are the kind of things probably which.
And that sort of increases our own potential of our work environment and ourselves. So, having said that, we've moved from wellness, that sustainability is a key element. We've even touched upon biophilic elements in our homes and our offices and our spaces that we live in. Uh, could you tell us something, Dhananjay, about the materials that you sort of propose to for your architectural work, your facades? How do they enhance a wellness, which may be in an interior project, but your facades, how do you look at that when you talk about wellness?
I'm Dhananjay. I'm Dhananjay, and I'm from Studio Mathema Architects. We have a firm which deals in architecture as well as interior projects. And coming back to your question, so basically, as far as the facades are concerned, one is the materiality. Materiality does play an impact, but I think that's more to the tune of what is the embodied energy of the material that I'm using. So let's say I'm using a metal, it has a certain embodied energy. The amount of the infrastructure or the carbon footprint it creates to be built. But the second most important aspect is how is it helping my building getting more close to let's say the requisite climate temperature inside. So for that, I think more than the material, it's the techniques. Like for example, if it's a facade which is exposed to the sun, we can go for cavity walls or so the materials will help. But I think it's more about the technique, how to use the same material than. So I feel sustainability or well-being doesn't really have an aesthetic per se from the outside as much as it has the technique to it. You can obviously go over the board and create something which is biophilic, which looks very sustainable, but something which doesn't look sustainable can also be very sustainable, is what my take on it.
I love that point that you made, that it has to be the core, which is your intention, which is moving towards sustainability, the core of your project, and also enlightening our clients to understand what true sustainability is all about. And wellness is not just, it isn't that tangible, it's about how you feel. So, wellness, let's move from wellness, sustainability towards an emotion of a space. How do you take care of an emotion of a space? Is it a project which is dealt with emotion from day one to day end? Of course, there are a lot of practical aspects to it. Can you tell me something about that?
I'm Harjes Kaur from Studio Modbox. I'm an architect practicing interiors, residential interiors mainly, and since last 10 years now. So, what the topic you've touched upon, I think it's very, very dear to us from the very beginning of the layouting, where we're saying that the zoning should be very perfect. The whole sequence of a house where which function happens. I think that, I mean, if we talk about wellness, if we talk about the emotion, it starts from the very beginning of the layout of a house, and then creating very comfortable nooks, comfortable spaces. I think since houses are where we stay indoors for 90% of times, right? So those spaces become so important for us, the way they are planned, the way we find comfort in them, especially when we're doing residences. We need to unwind there, we need to find our comfort there. Then, like he said, creating moods with lighting these days, even with all the senses, even the fragrances in the houses, so creating that as well. So I think emotions do come with all of these at all these levels. And since we are at Colston here and we're talking about bathrooms, I'm very, very fond of designing bathrooms. Like I think those are very important factors in our houses, and we take really good pride in designing very, not just visually good looking bathrooms, but meaningful and feel good factor. Yeah. So it's no more just about what is looking good, it's more about what you're feeling good about it. So whether it's about a husband wife not having time in their lives, so that bathroom in the morning routine should have them together, so that feel good factor comes, or incorporating more sunlight, more greens, of course, making it more biophilic. So all these elements just, I think, add to the emotion at every level and makes, when we're talking about wellness, it's about a day-to-day routine. It's about how you're every day incorporating it in your lifestyle, and you're not just living, you're thriving now. So you're becoming better at your living. So
Exactly. And the last. Yes.
yeah, exactly. I think that is very important. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. So, have you ever found that you've come across massive challenges while designing, especially a bathroom these days? Because A, we are spoiled for choice, and there's so much of technology also that's available. How do you integrate that in your projects, and how do you, when you're designing, let's say for a family and across all generations, when we look around Colston also, we see that there's so many automated products out here. How do you educate your clients who are ranging from 6 years old to 80 years old?
Hi, I'm Tejbeer Singh from Tejbeer Singh. I'm practicing architecture and interiors from Vasant Vihar, Delhi. We are doing residential and commercial projects in India and abroad. Uh, to begin with, I would really like to touch on the point wellness. I feel live life with ease and comfort is the main core of wellness. The moment you see any product and you're comfortably walking through it without any restriction, forget the theory part of it. Live life with ease is the takeaway point for me for wellness, be it lighting or be it any other total story for it. And you put out a question specifically for toilets today. I totally agree. Today there are many challenges as far as toilets or washrooms are concerned. Each one has their own thought and take on it. What a younger generation is looking at, probably a senior more person is not looking at. They're probably finding it waste of money in terms of when you talk about a spa or a steam or that kind of unit. Whereas youngsters more understand it. You really have to infuse those ideas more clearly and explain to the client, yes, this is going to be working good for your. We all know today that a steam unit or using any kind of a spa really kind of does good for your blood circulation. You have to educate them accordingly. And as far as there are challenges in terms of spaces and sizes also. So when you have tight spaces, you really try to open out a large fixed glazing, looking to maybe a green space. They're always, you're working around the whole home around green spaces only, so that you automatically feel larger than what it is. It's like getting a loo with a view is the right word for it. And also, I think this is how you try to incorporate many things into a design.
So I think everything comes under emotions, because what she was saying or what you were talking, whether it's a residential place, whether it's from a washroom to your wardrobe, everything, a design is an emotion-based industry. Till the time we don't understand you, your family dynamics, anything, you cannot create anything, because you need to understand the family dynamics, what they likes, what they dislike. You need to connect. Unless or until you connect, you cannot come out on the paper, because this is what you want. Everyone has a different, a choice, family dynamics, their likings, their budgets. Unless or until you connect with their core, I don't think you can design.
So, some of us here have been in the industry for almost 20 plus years. I think, as one of those designers, I've seen the transition. Like you're saying, almost everybody wants a good life now. And that wasn't the case 20 years back. A, because we didn't have those kind of materials available to us. We didn't have these kind of gorgeous fittings available or these kind of bathrooms available. Now, the spectrum has really increased. So, how do y'all, as designers and architects, decide, or how do you crunch all of this to get the right bathroom fittings to get the right materials, because there's so much available.
See,
and
both-
your clients also trust so much
Both
on
go
you.
hand in hand. See, earlier there were less choices. People would choose themselves, create their houses themselves. Now, because the choices have gone up, the industry has gone up as well. Because that's how a client or a homeowner would believe in you to make the right choices for them. And to make the right choices, you need to connect to them, understand their needs, come up with their budgets. Of course, designing comes as part of it. Because of the choices that they have, you need the right person to select the right stuff for them, from costings to what they feel like.
So what I feel specifically in terms of choosing a material, as he rightly said, it's a emotion-based industry. I would like to quote myself. Whenever I meet a client, I like to sit down for 3 hours to understand their family tree, how it operates, who gets in what time, and what all happens. So once you're clear through the total social pattern of wares, and you're totally clear what is happening, what is the kid looking at, what is his expectations out of his washroom and the products, is he a brand conscious or is he a more wellness conscious, what are the budgets involved into it. So you put them all together and you always try to get to an organization or a company which has a big record and also is a big organization, so that you don't have a service problem, because this product is going to have a service issues for sure. It is a wear and tear. There are so many other things. Spa has it, Steam has it. So we try to incorporate their budget and the right organization which can back it up in terms of service. So I feel that is the right way to do about it.
I also think is like, the kind of innovation which is happening. Every day there is something very interesting happening. And as a designer, we need to be updated. And like rightly said, that we have to kind of be very confident of the product first. And then we can, that the designer becomes such an important part of selecting on these, sanitary fixtures. So we need to be very comfort zone into understanding, the smaller things, how to use them. Is that a comfort? Is that works in the design? And definitely, like the sir said, like budget becomes an important criteria. But into looking at that budget is the options. The more the option, the more, the broad we go and use the product. I think it'll be good for the, and the technology definitely is increasing a lot. Like, from the keypads, we've come to these iPhones and smartphones, and and our clients were, all of them are, they are a bit taken back by the technology, but eventually we need to kind of upgrade them. Everything is technology driven.
Yeah, clearly, we need to be updated. Technology will take up. We know that. We can't keep blindfolded on that. I think where we guys are more useful, as you can say, a tool to the clients, is that we are not just doing one house, which they are doing. So we know also which company is available here, like getting at the very ground root level, because all these things need service as well. These are long term things. They're not there for, there's not just a fad that they'll be there, but of course the houses stay for long. So we can educate them that, okay, this company is from here, they give good service. Apart from, of course, choosing the more technologically what's there in the market, these guys have already touched upon that. I think also it becomes very useful that we know more brands, we can educate them on that, we know what after sales they're going to get, because that also is a task, of course. Like just buying a very good product and not installing it well, or being able to get it installed well and getting the right after sales also sometimes becomes such a big hassle with so many products. I'm sure we all have faced those issues where product is very good, but we're not able to use it to the potential it has. Staying in India or staying in wherever you are in your locality.
One
Important thing, I think, once you've understood the, like I said, the family or the client or their aspirations for a certain project, is normally we try and come up with a narrative or a concept for the project. Once you have that, I think that becomes a good guiding factor for every decision which needs to be taken, and probably gives that guideline for developing the whole project.
Right.
So even if you're talking about what kind of fittings you're going to go to, would depend. If you're doing a modern house, then you would probably go to an X company and try and pick up that kind of a color scheme and those kind of materials from that particular project. if you're doing a neoclassical or a classical. So I think the narrative which comes in the beginning is also a guiding factor in selecting the correct product.
Besides which product or which
Yes.
vendor you will go.
Yeah. I think in today's industry, if any of the product companies has to be there, has to be used, it is a given that they'll have to have good service.
Yes.
It needs to be a superior product. Otherwise, it's not going to get specified.
Yes, things
right?
have improved tenfold
Yes.
from what it was.
So according to me,
Yeah.
that's like a given
That's
today.
why so many come and die because
So
if
you
they
touched
can't.
upon color scheme, which was my next question.
Sure.
Colors is such an important factor for wellness. Would you like to give us some insight on that?
More in terms of lighting is what I would say is when we talk about wellness, lighting plays a very important role. I know nature is the guiding factor. When you see early morning sun, it's the brightness which is there, which rejuvenates you, keeps you in a certain mood. And when you go towards the evening, the moonlight which is there, which subdues you, and it's you're not that alert, attentive, and you're restive. Similar kind of things I think work with lighting. When we are providing lighting for the interiors, when you're providing warm lights, that's more keeps you a little toned down and subtle. When you're doing white lights, which we generally use for offices, they generally try to make you a little more alert and attentive towards it. So I think the lighting especially plays a very strong
Just
role.
helps with the circadian
Yeah.
rhythm that we have been that we read about so much in today's day and age, because all of us, I don't know about y'all, but being on the phone, especially at night,
Yes.
it's not really good for us and all of that.
Absolutely. Blue light is what gets you to be very attentive. And I guess most of the people end up seeing some kind of a screen before they're going to bed. And that's why the disturbed sleep patterns, I guess, has become very common.
Just touching upon color, how do you incorporate that in your projects to make sure that it is, whether we are using very strong shades like reds and dark blues and all of that, despite having that kind of a color palette, how do you make sure that you're still going towards an emotional and a wellness kind of a, making sure that that's also being integrated in your project? How do you do that?
Technology plays a role. Like earlier, like specific to the washrooms, I think the metal finishes are now available were not available earlier. When they come outside also, I think the color palette has increased a lot more because of technology, and I think it will further increase. For example, the flexibility in all materials with the colors available is much more now. You can get into screen printing, and you can, so that is, having said that, now the other end of the spectrum is connecting it to the wellness, or because that is another important aspect to think that you can print red, you can print any color, but the thing is, how close is it to a palette which will be soothing in the long run? I think the key to wellness to me is connecting to nature, as many of the participants already have said. So I think as much as we can connect to the natural elements, either in colors or the lighting, or either the place looks like a part of nature, or you are looking onto a feature which is from nature. I think that becomes more or less the key. Or so somehow you're relating to a natural ambience is something which I feel is the key to that. So I think the color palette should also flow out of that.
Like he mentioned that you've set the narrative of the project,
Yeah.
and then everything sort of falls into place.
Yeah, we need to
Yes.
look at the space. It's
Yes.
become very different. We at times use some very bright colors. At sometimes it's very subtle. Depending upon what are we looking at that space in where it is situated in the surrounding.
Yeah.
So it changes, but I think in totality we say it has to be very subtle, balanced.
Yeah, because I think we need to, of course, we have to start with understanding every color brings in a different emotion. And that's very true. Like reds and all will have their own emotion. Pink has its own emotion. Green is supposed to be getting you more calmer. Some colors are getting you more productive. So one is to understand those, and then like incorporating them in a very, of course, that is a very subjective way also, because colors become very subjective to every designer and every client as well, to their choices and the way you style the colors. And I think these days also Vastu plays such an important role sometimes, where you just stuck with colors that you get stuck or restricted or whatever. So sometimes it's like you want some greens here and you cannot get greens there. So that is something I feel.
I think of late, what I've seen, especially after the pandemic, the trend has been towards muted tones and
This is where you were
biophilic.
sitting, these are all
Yeah.
earthy tones.
And-
And a pop of color just
and a
adds
pop
glamour
of
to it.
colour.
So
and that through by
that's how it
nature.
is,
Yeah.
Even if you're wearing a normal blazer and you just pop up with something, it just goes well. But of course, initial understanding with the client, you understand that, like you are wearing absolutely earthy tones with a tinge of blue, so it's just a
So
pop.
also it's to the requirement
Of
as
course,
well. So
yes.
when we're designing a house, a place where I feel a client has to live all the time, you cannot be having very busy tones and patterns and colors because it'll just take up their mental space. But on the contrary, their basements where they want a party area, you don't have to
Of
go
course,
there
of
every day.
course.
Those are places you really
Yeah, so
can
like
play
we
with
can
color.
play
You
with
have that
certain
option.
spaces and
So
just
it's to each his
Areas
space.
in
Yeah.
itself define colors. If
Exactly.
you're in a bedroom and if you're in a bar, or if you're in a mandir,
The
you can't
colors
have a orange
automatically
mandir
get
right now.
defined there.
On that
Yeah.
point, I would like to add, I believe neutral is the go-to color for me. Mera wala cream is the whole idea. I feel that you can spice up the whole space using the light and an accessorizing. And that also you can probably play around the whole house. One area could look different the moment you move those objects to another area. And I feel neutral is the go-to for me at least.
Earthy tones, if you're putting, you can play with your mattress, as in your bed sheets, your pillows, your cushions. They pop up, and anything which is permanent should be muted, and anything which is that can be changed, you can use pop.
perfect, perfect. So to end this discussion, I wanted to throw out this question: what do you think are the challenges of a futuristic bathroom that you would like to incorporate? Do you feel that it's a challenge in the future? Because with AI and all these tools that we have, and with what are the challenges you think in the future with these futuristic bathrooms that we have, with AI and technology coming in our lives at a very fast pace? Do you feel that it's a tough job to incorporate, or to try and make your client understand the use of all of these elements?
I think it has to be a hybrid approach, as I understand, using the technology like wearables and stuff, where you can get in a lot of data about the client, about the person, how he moves around, and then trying to use that to get closer to nature, is what I would understand. So it would need to be a hybrid of both, using the technology, using the advancements there, and then trying to help each individual get a better physical and mental comfort out of it, is what I would.
See, I'm a very technology-based person. I think it's there. It'll remain. Yeah, because I feel it's really nice. It makes life easier, more options. I'm a very technology-based person. I think.
I personally feel I think we should keep our minds open
Yeah,
and
as
absorb
in,
as much as we can.
you have to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
And
we see, I think what I was trying to say is how you actually get to use it
Yeah.
finally. Is
As in, you have to move with times. Even my grandmother now uses a WhatsApp. It's easier. You know.
Nice,
things
because she
will-
has a lovely grandson like you who's teaching her probably.
things like motion sensors and stuff, which are very convenient, right? You get up in the night, you want to go to the loo, you open the door and some light is already there. So it's very inconvenient to actually start looking for switches at that time. So technology is definitely very helpful and it's got a future.
And I think in commercial projects, technology is really helpful, because when you're using a washroom, let's say on an airport, you wouldn't want to touch anything, and the sensor.
See what I feel, or whatever I foresee technology as in, I feel the way AI is being used, I don't see a day far when it's going to automatically see our system, our habit, and put into act the whole game, instead of we putting, let's put this light on and let's put that light on. And I see there's a bigger future in it. And technology, obviously, as my friend said, is a wonderful thing. It has its boon and ban, but I'm sure master is human only at the end of the day. So it's going to be boon only.
Like what he's saying, I read an article. So ISH Germany, they have done a research on where bathroom with technology is going to go in 10 years, 2034 they were talking about. It's a very interesting article where they're saying that Broha and all have already started on that it'll be ID specific, the bathrooms. So if you enter the bathroom is going to change as per his needs. So projections are going to change closer to reality. The veneer will change, the tile pattern will change, WC level will change, the basin height will change. Like to an extent that it will be customized exactly, and the sound and this fragrance and everything. And even at the public level, the same technology will be used. That say you go to a hotel and there's the faucet has a thumbprint and you put your thumbprint, it's stored in the cloud. That will also get customized as per the bathroom toilet will get customized as per you. So they will know what temperature you like and what fragrance you like and what height you like.
So moving
And I
towards
was like,
hyper
wow.
customization.
And so this is what is they and Groha's probably. I mean, I read that they have already started with a thumbprint faucet. So that they are projecting in 10 years. That's what the bathroom future is going to be.
I think most of us are already doing a lot of tech in our in the homes that we are designing, with the curtains opening up, and with the everything is on your iPad. The customization is there to quite an extent, but this will be another level where you just put your thumbprint and it's customized for 10 family members, and each
But
gets
what I
his
think
own.
right now we are in a stage like we were at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So there were people like Gopius and some people which felt the machine is going to be the most supreme thing. So they designed buildings which look like like a machine or like a ship, and a lot of movements came out of that. And their projections of our times were like this. If you go and see a movie like Back to the Future or something like that, they have projections of our times. So I feel this is something like that.
Yeah.
But so I don't think so. Technology is ever going to be the central hero. That is when we see, let's say, if you see any of those movies, you realize, they will show you floating cars, they will show you absolutely dead vegetation, and they will just show you technology has taken over like that. So I don't think so. It will be like that. I think human beings will still remain human beings. So they will want the element of nature, as I actually said that it become veneer and things. But so the interpretation would be like would definitely, I think, will be very similar to our times only. I think it's just that it is something which is inevitable, like the Industrial Revolution. It will come in a very big way. I think you might not even have to tell the shower that to switch on, and might switch on its own. So it might have those kind of features in it, but I really doubt that it'll go that in that direction.
I think it's that quality of space as a designer, we need to kind of enhance that more. Is to bringing it closer. I mean, we always feel like going to beach. We're never gonna stop that. We want to go to in a forest retreat and spend time there. We cannot go away with those things. How do we?
Let's say the lights which are mimicking nature, perhaps the feeling that you're sitting in your living room and you get a feeling of you being on the beach, or so those are the kind of features which she discussed. That perhaps is something that might be something will become a central theme. But having said that, the only thing is that that comes with the concern that every time the technologists try to mimic the nature too much and try to create artificially, it backfires. It becomes more harmful than it is. So I really doubt how much will it go in that direction. Like you can make hybrid plants grow. They go give more produce, but they're not that healthy. So I don't know how much healthy or health wise it'll be effective.
I think it's about where if we get comfort out of it. Like if my son is entering a bathroom and the basin comes down, that comfort is very interesting. I mean that's something that is practical. That's where you would want to absorb that technology.
So the thing is exactly what you said. So this is exactly what came at the Industrial Revolution. There was a Industrial Revolution, so everybody was enamored with the industrial part of it. And then there was a second thing that happened immediately after that, was arts and craft movement, in which the English people felt that let's go back to our country houses.
Yeah.
So
Of
I
course,
feel this will be a tussle. Like like in
it's always
special
like
scenarios, like when you talk to your children, you will really like it.
hybrid. Yeah, correct.
No, but it can be inspirational for some people. Like I frankly I am on board with him. I am really fond of technology. I would like to perhaps design a house which is like designed like a car one day. But so it can be my way of thinking. But I think that, as I said, the end result may not be that. The aesthetic is a very different function as compared to what my inspiration is.
So basically, to sum it all up, a perfect balance between everything that we've spoken about would be the ideal way to
I think
go
you've got
about
the
it.
most difficult job to sum it up in so many architects. Though
But I
everybody
think
will have
all
like,
of you were
will want
aligned
like
on
a
one
smile.
thing, that wellness is prime, sustainability.
Yeah, but the only thing is they'll tweak it a bit. So they'll just want a bit of tweaking.
See, all of us design, but if you see, all of us have dressed up differently, right? So when you meet somebody, you understand like what they look like, and you understand how their homes would be like and what they're looking at. Personally, I love the way you dressed. You're wearing muted colors. You're wearing a green strap, which I personally love. There's a pop of blue. There's a pop of yellow. That's how it is. So you take off the glasses, you're completely muted. These are the things we feel that we read, we understand, and we inculcate, and that's how we connect.
Such a pleasure to have understood your points of view, and thank you for having me here. I hope you all enjoyed the discussion as well. Thank you. Thank you.